everybody, and welcome to the weekly scopes from the 11th to the 17th of August. Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's weekly scopes. If you've heard this before, you can skip, but this is just the intro on how I formulate these astrology weekly readings. I use astrology and my intuition to give you advice how you can practically use the knowledge of the stars and the planets and apply them to your life. So my weekly scopes are all based on GMT time and on Vedic Constellational Astrology. So now I'm just going to explain what Vedic Constellational Astrology is and how it differs from Western astrology. So the precession of the equinox is sort of like something that happens in astronomy and astrology, where the Earth's axis undergoes a slow circular motion over 26,000 years, and basically this means that this motion causes a shift in the position of the equinoxes, and also the calculation Vedic and Western astrologies use. So around 2,000 years ago, the tropical and sidereal Vedic astrology signs of astrology were aligned in the same position. So if the sun was in Scorpio in Vedic astrology, it was also in the constellation of Scorpio in Western astrology. But because of the precession of the equinoxes, this has caused a gradual westward sort of like drift of the tropical Western signs. So basically these signs and the Western signs shift 1 degree with every 72 years. So as a result of this ongoing shift, when Western astrology says the sun is in the constellation of Pisces, it's typically in the constellation of Aquarius. Still, this is because the degree, orb and the date for Western and Vedic astrology are 24 degrees 24 days apart. So in Western astrology, the sun enters the constellation of Pisces around the 19th of February each year, but actually the sun doesn't arrive into the constellation of Pisces until the 13th to the 15th of March each year. And Vedic astrology takes this into account because it's based on the fixed star positions, and Vedic astrologers use sidereal calculations. So as a result, Vedic astrology takes into account the actual positions of the constellations in the sky at any given time, and also considers the precession of the equinox, adjusting for the shift in the position of the equinoxes over time. But in terms of Western astrology follows the tropical zodiac, which is based on the seasons rather than fixed star positions. Western astrologers also do not directly account for the precession of the equinox in their calculations as well, so this results in slightly different calculations and interpretations that are given whether we're using Western astrology or Vedic astrology. So yeah, as I said, Western astrology uses specific dates. So every year, regardless of where the sun actually is at the sky, the sun moves into Pisces around the 19th of February. So yeah, this discrepancy, this misalignment between the tropical zodiac and the actual positions of the constellations has led to a discrepancy between Vedic astrology and Western astrology. So I consider the actual where the sun and the moon are and where Mars and Venus are at any given time, and this is how I formulate these sort of like weekly scopes. So yeah, thanks for listening to this, and let's dive into this week's weekly scope. Okay, so now I'm just going to explain what parallels and contra-parallels are in astrology, because I use them in my chart interpretation. So declination in astrology is the measure of how far a celestial body is, such as the sun, whether it's either north or south of the celestial equator. And the celestial equator is an imaginary line in the sky above the Earth's equator, which us astrologers use in our interpretation. So parallels happen when two planets are on the same declination, either both planets are on the north side or either both planets are on the south side, and this alignment increases the influence of the involved planets planets. So it's similar to a conjunction aspect, as it amplifies their energy, making the effects of the planets more pronounced. Contra-parallels, on the other hand, happen when two planets are on the same declination, but one is in the north and one is in the south. So this alignment creates tension, which is similar to an opposition aspect, and it can lead to conflict, challenges and inner struggles between the energies of the planets involved. So contra-parallels highlight areas of friction or contrast in our lives, urging us to find balance between the opposing forces at play. When transiting parallels and contra-parallels happen, they can sort of trigger significant events, shifting consciousness and periods of intense growth and transformation. So I look at these aspects closely during chart analysis to understand how planetary energies interact and influence each other during a specific time frame, to pinpoint key periods for personal development, relationship dynamics or career shifts and other shifts like karmic shifts and stuff like that. Because I just find using contra-parallels and parallels gives me more depth in interpretation, so I use them. So contra-parallels and parallels in astrology serve as markers for potential challenges or breakthroughs, guiding us towards more self-awareness, love, acceptance, understanding, forgiveness for ourselves and others, and shifts in consciousness and growth. So overall, just a shift in our mindset if we allow for it. So parallels and contra-parallels just kind of provide valuable insights into the complexities and nuances of the astrological interactions between planetary movements. So yeah, that's the end of what contra-parallels and parallels are. Okay, so we've got quite a few aspects affecting us this week. The first is Venus making a parallel to Chiron, which is the same as a conjunction. It just means that Venus and Chiron are on the same side of the ecliptic, basically. So this came in on the 6th of August, is exact at 4:10 on the 11th of August, and going to leave us on the 15th of August at 10:30 a.m. Then Mercury makes a contra-parallel to Saturn. So this came in on the 29th of July and is exact at 8:39 p.m. on the 4th of August, and then again on the 14th of August, which is this week, at 9:05 a.m. and then Mercury's contra-parallel to Saturn leaves us on the 20th of August at 9:35 a.m. Then we've got Mercury making a parallel to Venus. This entered on the 14th of August and is exact on the 16th of August and going to leave us on the 19th of August. Venus also makes a contra-parallel to Saturn as well. So a lot of Saturn energy this week. So that's really, really good. Grounding us, giving us direction. We may feel limitations and get no's when we want yeses, but more about that later. So Venus's contra-parallel to Saturn entered on the 14th of August, is exact on the 17th of August, and then going to leave us on the 21st of August. So when Venus is parallel to Chiron, it brings a blend of healing energy to our relationships and self-worth and inner values, allowing us to address those areas, giving us the energy, the support, to look at our past psychological, emotional, spiritual traumas, especially those around the way we relate to others and relate to ourselves, and thus increases our compassion and empathy towards ourselves and others as we deal with this stuff that comes up this week, So, some of you may find yourself having a heart-to-heart conversation with a loved one, a friend, an intimate partner, an ex maybe for some of you, and, deep emotional healing can take place. Or even if you can't reach out to the person who you've got that trauma with, maybe they are no longer with us on the earth plane, or, you can't reach out to them, they don't want to hear from you, it's a bad idea for you to reach out to them. You can still use this energy to process and finally let go of that situation, maybe writing it down on a piece of paper, burning it, creating some sort of ritual, It inspires us to, do the things that nurture our sense of beauty and inner peace. But it can, as I said, because it brings up unresolved emotional pain and our insecurities, especially when it comes to those related to love, heartbreak and intimacy. We've all got sort of repression maybe when it comes to intimacy. We may have a kink, we may not know what we like, we may be ashamed of what we like and stuff like that. And, all of these things that come up can make us feel extremely vulnerable this week. So it's important that we look after ourselves, love on ourselves and partake in healthy self-care. The best use of this energy is to be open and to heal and allow for growth and deep emotional connections. Mercury's contra-parallel to Saturn adds to, the troubles that can come between, this increase in communication that we may have about our vulnerabilities and stuff like that. And, the sense of authority can come in, people may abuse their power because people can be vulnerable. They may try and take advantage of those who are showing weakness right now. Also, because it brings challenges in us expressing ourselves effectively, we can just feel restricted within. We can just feel very repressed. It's very inward energy where our communication can turn inward. We can have an increase in critical, negative self-talk of, things that we believe about ourselves, things of others said, or stuff like that. Or we can just feel restricted by traditional and conforming to other people's expectations and living up to authority, governmental viewpoints and stuff like that as well. And overall, because it triggers our inner doubts and self-criticism, especially about our intellect communication skills. So we could therefore, we could just feel, I'm not the best communicator, or I don't know how to write this, and just be down on yourself. Some of you may experience, difficulties in getting your ideas across at work due to, rigid structures and strict regulations. And this can also manifest as, just feeling like nothing you do is kind of good enough, or making others feel that way. So it's very important to try and stay grounded, respect other people's boundaries. Not only because you can do something doesn't mean that someone else can do it, and that doesn't make them less of a person. And only because you may not be able to do the thing that someone else can do in a good way doesn't mean that you haven't got something else that only you can do in the ways that you do, so just try and just respect yourself for who you are. If you need to learn new skills, go out and get them this week. A lot of energy supporting us. Ultimately, Mercury's contra-parallel to Saturn this week gives us the opportunity to refine, change the way we communicate, the way we think as well. A lot of the times, a lot of our negative experiences that we have in the real world comes from because we have all these toxic thoughts going off in our mind, or the way that we think, the way we perceive things. We can be defensive, taking everything as a personal attack or whatever, or people pleasing and all the other things we can do, so it just encourages us to approach challenges with patience, self-love, and just a willingness to learn from your inner logical, rational, intuitive mind, or from an authority figure from outside. Because sometimes this energy brings a mentor and they may think differently from you, and you may think, I'm Gen Z and they're an older millennial or boomer or something, I don't want to listen to them, that sort of thing, but listening to them, even though the way they deliver the message, because a lot of the time the way that we can deliver and say things can be quite nasty, especially when we're criticizing someone. But if we listen to the depth or what we can gain, because a lot of the time when we've got triggers, the outside world triggers us, it's because we need to resolve something within us. So just be mindful of how you express yourself and how you are receptive to feedback, and go out looking for constructive, productive feedback from mentors, especially from people that can help you improve your communication style or thought processes. So this can be a podcast, or asking someone you can trust, or even someone you may dislike, because a lot of my biggest life lessons have come from people that I didn't necessarily like, but I'm glad I took their advice, and I've got a lot of Saturn energy in my natal chart, so I'm kind of like a love of restriction. I didn't always love it, I used to hate it, but now I see the beauty in it, because restrictions allow us to rethink of a new way to get to where we want to get to go. And Saturn energy is all about, okay, you want your best life, or you want this outcome, how much do you want it, sort of thing, you know. So Mercury's parallel to Venus brings a harmonious blend between Mercury and Venus, so it just allows us to express affection and appreciate other people, and allows us to repair any tension that comes up and have deep, meaningful conversations with other people and ourselves. But negatively, it can make us superficial, indecisive and gossip, and just struggle with making decisions and being impulsive and being passive aggressive and avoiding conflicts rather than addressing them directly, you know. And this can just add to the tension and the waste of time and other resources. So it's just best to confront things in an open and honest way, and express your feelings. So this energy helps us to express our feelings. We had Mercury contra-parallel, Saturn getting in the way. This allows us to sort of like express them easier, but still brings that restriction because Saturn's still involved. You know, it helps us with our understanding, our empathy, taking accountability for our actions and life. But you know, we can become emotionally distant because of external pressures or obligations, or because of the inner conflict that can be going on within us at this moment, you know. So, you know, we just have to be honest about our needs. If you need some love, reach out for some love, because this energy can just make us, you know, sort of like feel isolated and lonely and craving emotional intimacy but feeling blocked to ask for it in the right ways, or because we may not have anyone who can give us affection. You may be single, you can love on yourself. It's it's the thing I say, you know. And self-care, healthy self-care, looking after all your needs, looking after your exercise needs, your eating needs, you know, your spirituality needs, your logical needs, you know, your scientific needs, your medical needs. Just holistically looking after yourself, you know, can really help you. So this energy grounds us and allows us to get in touch with our inner world, and to, you know, see why we are blocked from giving and receiving affection, and how we can become more open to giving and receiving affection, and then confronting any underlying issues or limitations within our relationship, starting with the one that you have with yourself. It's a time to take a realistic look at your commitments, your responsibilities, and find a balance between love and duty, you know, your routine and meeting, like, you know, going to work and all the other commitments you have, what to commit into, you know, making sure you're loving, bringing enough love into your life. So yeah, actually there's a nice song I like to listen to sometimes. It's called Love Enough by an old band from the 80s called Soul to Soul, and it's just all about, you know, loving ourselves and stuff, and, you know, talking about how overcommitting to others or burning ourselves out through just committing to our careers and our education and missing out on the positives of loving another person or people, friends, family, or loving yourself, you know. So this energy just allows us to challenge whatever comes up head on right now, and just create a more solid future for our future growth in our relationships and in our life in general, you know. So now I'm just going to talk about, you know, the more spiritual, esoteric and psychological meanings of these transits. So when Venus is parallel to Chiron, it encourages us on a spiritual deeper level to explore our deep emotional wounds and transform what we need to transform in those areas of our life. Mercury's contra-parallel to Saturn challenges us to express ourselves more efficiently this week and get our thoughts across more clearly, and pushes us on, you know, to work on our shadows and overcome our inner fears and our self-imposed restrictions that get in the way of our communication style. So like I said, a lot of it starts in the mind, the toxic thoughts that you allow to go around 24/7 a day, and we don't need to get rid of all of them. You know, trying to 50%, 51% of the time thinking positively is enough. You know, out of every, you know, 10 minutes, that means every, you know, like 5 minutes and 10 seconds you want to think positive, that sort of thing, you know. Mercury's parallel to Venus allows us to work out any troubles that come up in our relationships as well. We can just be more diplomatic and charming than usual, and this just helps us soothe the toxicity, the mundane energy of all these transits can bring up. So the esoterically we're being shown to sort of like just be open to new. And Venus's contra-parallel to Saturn wants us to find a balance between nurturing our connections and maintaining personal freedom. So yeah, on the 11th of August, Venus makes its exact parallel to Chiron. I talked about this earlier. So it's exact at 4:11 a.m. Then the moon enters via combustor at 6:05 p.m. and then Venus makes a sesquiquadrate to Chiron. So positively, when Venus makes a sesquiquadrate to Chiron, quite a few Chiron energy this week. It adds to the healing I was talking about, allows us to go deep and address unresolved issues. But negatively, it can add to the discomfort, especially on the emotional, spiritual, psychological levels we can feel this week, as we dig up these old wounds or external situations force or trigger us, and we have to either face our problems and heal them or run from them, which can be challenging. So the best use of this energy, and it helps us to be open and honest, work through our emotional blockages by being willing to confront difficult emotions and situations this week. We've got plenty of energy support, that Saturn grounding energy, 10th house energy. Venus is sesquiquadrate to Chiron spiritually allows us to practice self-compassion and forgiveness, which are keys for this week as we navigate through the turbulence that comes up, and we can see kind of peace and relaxation or some time out to be more realistic in meditation, gaming, watching the show, listening to music, prayer, doing whatever you need to do to find inner peace in a healthy way. Yes, we can turn to alcoholic drinks, that is, and toxic substances and foods and relationships and habits, but they're only going to damage us more in the long run. So this aspect just reminds us this week that to heal, it requires us to acknowledge the pain, to embrace growth and renewal in the realm of, love and relationships and within ourselves. It requires us to be open, getting back up after each failure in our attempts to heal, and there will be many, but if you keep on going, you will get there. So psychologically, again, it gives us the opportunity for inner exploration and understanding, forgiveness, love, understanding, self-awareness as you dig into your emotional world, and allow yourself to uncover any psychological, spiritual or any other trauma and vulnerabilities that affected your relationships, especially the one you should be having with yourself, and your self-perception, how you think about yourself, how you think about others, how you think about the world as well. And by acknowledging and addressing your wounds, you can sort of like begin or continue your journey towards emotional, psychological, spiritual integration and wholeness with courage, and just allowing yourself to know that vulnerability is key to unlocking the transformative power of not only this cosmic event but your life. And I can vouch for that. Until when I was willing to be vulnerable, even me doing this podcast, over time I was not willing to even put myself out there, because of so many reasons. So, it is key to allow you to know yourself so you can understand others and see that all humans have struggles, even when they are being horrible. And this is not to invalidate how, those who have been horrible to you have made you feel, but it's just to realise that a lot of the time people hurt others because they're in pain, and this is not an excuse. This doesn't mean you accept it. No, you get away, because of course, we have to become better human beings. And this is why I do this podcast and all the others I do, because I'm trying to get us to take responsibility, and I had to start by taking responsibility for my own life, and that meant letting go of toxic things I did once love, because that's the thing, we love our comfort zone. That's why it comforts us, you know, so it's not easy. So this energy allows us to become more emotionally liberated if we allow ourselves, so that we can become stronger and feel more whole than ever before if we just honour ourselves, you know, and learn to forgive yourself of your past mistakes. So yeah, on the 12th of August, the moon's north node goes stationary retrograde. The moon enters its first quarter moon phase. The moon enters void of course. Mars makes a sesquiquadrate to Pluto, and the moon enters Scorpio. So Mars' sesquiquadrate to Pluto is exact at 6:02 a.m. and leaves us around the 15th of August. I'll talk more about that in a little while. The moon's north node, when it goes retrograde, allows us to go inward and reflect on the things we need to reflect on so we can move forward, but it can also make us sort of like confused and bring delays in communication and expressing and receiving affection. The best use of this energy is to use the intuitive insights or external feedbacks you get to guide you towards healing what needs to be healing right now, or finding your true purpose. The first quarter moon allows us to sort of like take action and challenges, so it allows us and supports us to overcome obstacles and focus on our growth, but it can just be stressful because it can just sort of like energize us but also drain us as well. So we just have to try and find a balance between action and relaxation to avoid burnout. When the moon's in void of course, it just means it's not making any major aspect with any other sign. It may make by quintiles and stuff and semi-squares, but it just doesn't make conjunctions and stuff. So some astrologers say we should not do the things that are intense if we feel that we can't do it. We shouldn't do important things and stuff like that. If you feel affected, then maybe you shouldn't. It's in void of course for about 6 hours today, from 4:19 until 11:46 p.m. So yeah, when the moon enters Scorpio, it adds to the intensity of the day. It can bring power struggles to our week over the next couple of days. The best use of this energy is to face your fears and allow yourself to let go of what no longer serves you and be open to going deep. And by digging deep into your emotions and subconscious mind, you can use the transformative energy of Scorpio to push your efforts on your personal growth and healing journey. So Mars is sesquiquadrate to Pluto, which is a 135-degree aspect, adds to the clashes of the week because it brings a clash between our desire for power and control, represented by Pluto, and for us to take actions and assertiveness, which is represented by Mars. So it just adds to the power struggles, but because it brings our hidden desires and motivations to the surface, we have to address them. And even if they are negative, we can transform unhealthy patterns. So this is really good. So it kind of forces us to use that healing power of Chiron and the stabilizing energy of Saturn that's guiding us this week. So for example, some of you may have been avoiding dealing with a difficult situation. It can push you to have to deal with it, but negatively, because it brings intense anger, aggression and manipulation, and it's really forceful motivation energy. It can make us overstep other people's boundaries, and this can cause to conflicts and inner turmoil because we may not want to speak our truths even though we're feeling pushed, and we may stop ourselves, and this can come out in other ways, and this can just make people think, well, what are you hiding? And so it's just best to try and confront whatever comes up head on. The best use of this energy is to allow it to dig into your subconscious drives and motivations and reflect on what really floats your boat, it really turns you on, what really gets you going, what you really want out of life. And by understanding the underlying forces of your behaviours, and as I said, all of our behaviours start in the mind. So by understanding your motivations, you can use them to make positive changes in your life. So for instance, if you have a habit of self-sabotage and and this is my biggest thing in all my life. This aspect can help you uncover the root cause towards overcoming it. And don't think because you've been doing it for 10-20 years, believe me, it can be hard. The only reason why we fail a lot, and I'm not saying life is perfect, I've given up on all of that. Give up on perfectionism as soon as you can, but know that, it's a human thing, so you're always kind of seek it. The ego will anyway. So, as I say, it's always about being gentle with yourself and uncovering the root causes of your issues. And a lot of the time we give up because it takes a lot of time, and we fail and fail. We're like, oh my gosh, I'm tired of this happening. Why do I keep on making these choices? Why do these type of lovers keep coming into my life? Why do I keep thinking these things? But no, keep on going, keep on searching out those tools, keep on, even if you've tried a million tools and you're like, oh, nothing's ever going to work, keep on looking, something will work for you. And of the time, the reason why things don't work is because we try to follow the footsteps of the book we're reading or the podcaster or content creator. No, we're meant to take what they show us and the tools and adapt it to you. There's no point in you trying to wake up at 6 a.m. if you're a night person, but make sure that if you are working, you're a night person, make sure you're still doing your exercises and all the rest, even if you wake up at 6 p.m. and you do your days that way, so 6 p.m, you may be going to 6 a.m, you may be going to bed. Figuring out your cycle and using the tools to adapt to you without giving yourself excuses, because, sometimes, okay, maybe you normally get up at 6 p.m. now, but each day, one day, get up at 6 p.m, do that routine for 30 days, then maybe the next week you're like, I'm going to get up at 5 p.m, then the next week it's 4 p.m, and the next minute you're waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning. It's all about taking them small steps, So, yeah, during this sextiquadrant between Mars and Pluto, Mars is in Taurus, Pluto's in Capricorn, so Taurus brings stability, determination, and a focus on material security, inner security, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus also rules Libra as well. So Capricorn emphasizes us being ambitious, getting outside of our comfort zone, looking at our long-term goals and plans, being more strategic in our thinking and action, being, a bit more realistic and practical about what it's going to take for you to make the changes you want to change. So, Mars in Taurus, Pluto in Capricorn, it's a dynamic kind of interplay between our need for security and our drive for success, So, security, your toxic relationship could be a security, your self-destructive habits, your addictive tendencies, or security for us, but you may also have a need to, move forward, to progress, to find more success, and in order to do that, you need to get out of your security and find the ultimate security, which is, from within, dependent on how you think about yourself, not necessarily on relationships, drugs, drink or alcohol or anything else outside of you, So this energy allows us to, break free from our self-limiting beliefs and patterns of behaviour, making way for a renewed sense of empowerment and purpose. And by acknowledging and integrating outside ourselves, we can align with a more authentic power and just create a more positive change in our life, allowing for this potent combination of energies to inspire us and to push us past our limitations and confront our challenges head on and emerge stronger and more aligned with our true self. So being open to keep on going and picking ourselves up after every fall as we journey on our personal self-discovery journeys, knowing that each step that you take brings you closer to a more empowered and authentic version of yourself, allowing us to stay resilient or build resilience, stay determined, and you have to just remember that you are capable of breaking free from your self-limiting beliefs and stepping into your true power if you're willing to keep on going. So yeah, on the 13th of August, nothing happens. On the 14th of August, the moon leaves via combustion. Mercury's exact contra-parallel to Saturn that I talked about at the beginning of the week is exact at 9:05 a.m. Mars makes a conjunction to Jupiter at 4:22 p.m. as well. So Mars is conjunction to Jupiter, Mars is in Taurus and Jupiter's in Taurus, so a nice energy as well. Talk about that more in a while. So the moon leaving via combustion just can make us more emotionally unstable and intense, adding to, the trauma, the power struggles of the week. That's what I'm looking for. And we may just feel a little less passionate actually and inspired under this energy. So we may play into the drama a bit more as well. So we just need to watch out for that. The best use of this energy is to focus on the practicalities of routines and lives, and confronting the issues, not running away from whatever comes up, and making grounded decisions about your emotions and your relationships. So Mars is conjunct to Jupiter, so this allows us to feel confident, be more enthusiastic and optimistic, and go after our goals regardless of how we may feel, what other people may say. But negatively, it can just make us too overconfident and lead to impulsive decisions and taking on unnecessary risks and overspending and just reckless behaviour. So it's best to think before we react and act to avoid negative consequences. And the best use of this energy, is to do the things that have meaning and are productive and have purpose. Allow it to push us from outside of our comfort zone. Spiritually and esoterically, it encourages us to take a slow and steady approach towards achieving our goals and go after our dreams and just be more determined. But we just have to find that balance between being courageous and being mindful to avoid making hasty decisions and taking unnecessary risks and doing other things that can lead to, setbacks as well. So, all in all, this energy just wants us to come outside of our comfort zone, expand our horizons, look into new solutions to our problems. Maybe for some of you may plan a holiday abroad, you may visit abroad under this influence. There's just a lot that can happen, but ultimately whatever you choose to do under the energy of Mars's conjunction to Jupiter, make sure it's something outside of your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be a big thing, it can just be a little thing. It's a time to sort of nurture your resources, thinking about how you may be wasting your time, your money and any other resource, your energy, and looking at both your internal and external world, and looking at how you can start, conserving your energy and your money and your time and using them in productive ways so that you can create inner stability and security as you move forward in your life. So on the 15th of August, we've got the Sun making a sextile quadrant to the Moon's North Node. The Moon enters void of course. The Moon enters Sagittarius at 8:23 a.m. It goes into void of course at 5:57, so it's there for about 3 hours. And the Sun makes a trine to Chiron at 18:13, so 6:13 p.m. And this leaves us around the 16th of August, and the Sun's in Cancer and the Moon's North Node is in Pisces, so nice water energy, immutable and cardinal water energy. So the Moon in Sagittarius allows us to expand our mind, but we may become too impulsive, because Mars conjunct to Jupiter, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius is still active, and this energy adds to the negatives. The best use of this energy is to set new goals, explore opportunities for professional growth. So as I said, the Sun makes a sextile quadrant to the Moon's North Node. So again, it supports us from getting outside of our comfort zone. We may have karmic experiences right now where we think this was meant to happen. It allows us to explore our emotions and our spiritual side as we go into the last part of the week now, and it adds to the healing energies of the week and helps us increase our self-awareness and embrace our inner sources of strength and our ability to make our life better, no matter how bleak and how hard we feel life is and how much we feel we cannot change. This energy reminds us that by confronting our past honestly and realistically, taking the slow steady steps to do so and building your self-love and resilience and awareness, then you can build a better life for yourself. And it just reminds us to trust in the process of life and loving, and just remaining open. On the 16th of August, the Mars makes a square to Saturn The moon enters its gibbous moon phase at 10:51, and the sun enters Leo at 3:15 p.m. as well, and Mercury makes its exact parallel to Venus at 5:28 a.m. and I talked about this at the beginning of the week. So when the moon's in its gibbous phase, it allows us to think about the changes and make the necessary preparations before we see the full manifestation of our goals. So it's good for reevaluating your plans, and thinking about what you need to do. We had the new moon last week, now the full moon's coming next week, so just thinking about what you need to change in order to keep on working towards success in whatever you're working on success towards in your life. So yeah, the sun enters Leo, so if you want to know more about that in full, check out the separate audio in the playlist. But it just allows us to take a leadership role in our life and express our true identity without hesitation and just be more creative. It allows us to be more self-reflective, but in a way where we're more outward in our expression as well. We can fine-tune our plans and just be more sort of like authentic and charismatic right now as well. So it's a great energy to use for your self-improvement and stepping into the spotlight with grace and responsibility. Just have to watch out for being too dramatic and being too needy and demanding external validation, as this can push people away from us and make us overspend, because we may be like, look at me, I'm buying all the finest jewelry and clothes and everything else and trying to put on a show to get people to be like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful, get attention, but really you can't pay your rent this month. So yeah, think it out. So Mars makes a square to Saturn, allows us to be disciplined, gives us the added push this week to overcome obstacles, and gives us the push to finally take action and achieve our goals, especially when we have been putting things off. So as we get into the weekend now, this energy allows us to sort of like be more assertive and to do the things we need to do, but it can make us feel frustrated. This can add to the conflict and feelings of anger and restrictions that I've talked about this week, and this can sow in our personal and professional or social lives, So Taurus, because Mars is in Taurus and Saturn's in Aquarius. Taurus represents stability, sensuality and practicality, and Aquarius symbolises innovation, rebellion, unconventional thinking outside of the box, and it brings a clash between our traditional values and progressive ideas, between the side of us who wants to live our life for who we truly are, and a part of us who feels we need to live up to our parents or partners or societies or anyone else's expectations, So on the spiritual esoteric level, it wants us to ground ourselves and to seek out tangible results in our plans rather than getting lost in, fantasy and imagination, taking practical action to actually do the things we need to do and embrace our authentic selves. Psychologically, it wants us to go into the unknown, and it highlights the tension that can come up when we want to change and when we want to stay in our comfort zone. With one step we would love to change, but we love our comfort zone, it's so comforting. So it wants us to find a balance between being grounded in reality and embracing change for personal growth, and just being open to the newness that a lot of these energies are pushing us towards this week. So on the 17th of August, the moon enters void of course at 1:49 a.m. Then it enters Capricorn at 12:59 p.m. So it's there for a good 10 hours in void of course. Venus makes a sextile quadrant to Pluto at 2:25 p.m. and Venus makes its contra-parallel to Saturn, which I talked about this week, at 11:04 p.m. So yeah. So when the moon's in Capricorn, we've got a lot of Saturn energy this week, happening. So this just adds to the stability and determination. So this is really good. Venus' sextile quadrant to Pluto positively allows us to deepen our emotional connections as we close down the week, and this can lead to profound intimacy and stronger bonds, which is needed because we had a lot of energies messing with us this week. So we may just feel a renewed sense of commitment and loyalty towards ourselves and our partner, and we've earned it because it's been a week where it's kind of thrown us into challenges, so this energy allows us to just, foster, create deeper emotional connections, or negatively, again, it can add to the power struggles. People can be possessive and jealous and vengeful, like, you did this to me in 2021, so I did this to you in 2024 because of that sort of thing, Confrontations can happen, manipulation can come up as well. Some of you may feel yourself feeling overly obsessed or fixated on a particular person or TV show or drug or alcohol or something like that, which can strain, relationship dynamics or just your well-being. The best use of this energy is to use it for self-reflection and awareness, and if you are being self-destructive or you allow other people to be self-destructive to you, just questioning yourself and why you do that as well. It wants us to dig into our subconscious patterns and explore our deepest desires and fears regarding love and relationships, and by addressing these internal conflicts we can transform them into opportunities for growth and healing. Spiritually, again, it wants us and supports us in confronting our sadder selves and embracing our vulnerabilities. It wants us to be more authentic and honest in our relationships and the way we comes across right now, and just to get real with ourselves. Are you really in this relationship for the long haul? Is it what you really want? Is your life really where you want it to be? Just getting real on whatever you need to get real on. Psychologically, it allows us to go deep down wherever you need to go. Okay, so as we close down the week, just remember, it's important to remember that vulnerability is a strength that can lead you to greater emotional fulfillment, happiness, and genuine connections with others, as well as a genuine connection with yourself. And practicing self-love and compassion is crucial to navigate not only this week but life itself. We need to relax, we need some comfort, but when our comfort zone becomes destructive, this is when it becomes toxic, and this is when it stops our growth. And as we see, as we are going into the last weeks of summer and the fall's coming in 6 weeks time, the seasons are always changing, so allow yourself to be open to change by setting healthy boundaries and communicating openly with your loved ones this week. And remember that growth comes from confronting challenges head on and embracing the lessons that they bring, sort of thing, So yeah, you take care. I've been Amani, your holistic karmic astrologer, and this was the weekly scopes from the 11th to the 17th of August.